Chapter 19. Hold on, Chase yelled. He jumped off his float as it was still moving and jumped onto the other float. He and the others tried jumping to catch Rubble, but he was too far away. He looked at Sky, and she looked at him. "I forgot my wings in the Paw Patroller," she explained as if reading his mind. 1. Help, Rubble muffled. Chase jumped off the float and ran after Rubble. He was surprised at how high the balloon was going. How is it possible that it's going that high? He asked through his dog tag. It's not normal helium, Rocky explained. It's a more durable kind of helium. Its purpose is to lift heavier objects 3 times as large as those balloons. Rubble only weighs half as much as the balloon. Chase thought about it. He chased the bulldog down the street, weaving through pedestrians. It's getting away, he said. Chase noticed that the balloon was almost close enough to pass on top of the buildings. Can you get to the roof through this building? He asked someone at the door of the building. Yes, the man replied. Follow the stairs. It will take you to the roof. Chase followed the man's instructions and busted through the door onto the roof, making it just in time. He noticed as the top of the balloon appeared over the edge of the building. The blue balloon kept moving up. Chase saw Rubble a minute later. Chase noticed that about 2 yards of rope were dangling under Rubble. Chase grabbed the rope and started pulling. He pulled at the rope, slowing it down. Chase walked backward, leaning backward at the same time, to bring the balloon to a safer place. But the wind blew, pushing the balloon further up. Chase knew he couldn't do it alone, but luckily, he didn't have to. Chase felt some tugging behind him, so he turned his head enough to see Zuma helping him. Together, they pulled the balloon closer. Ryder came running in from the entrance. He helped pull until Rubble was close enough for him to reach and take him down. Thanks, Ryder, Rubble said. He moved his jaw after holding it shut for that long. Can we let go now? Chase asked. Ryder looked around. Leaving it floating was probably a bad idea. Not yet, give me a second, he said. He noticed that a large hook was hanging out of the brick wall. Ryder tried to move it, but it stayed in place. Okay, let's bring it here. Between him, Chase, and Zuma, they took the balloon near the hook. Chase and Zuma held the balloon as Ryder tied it down. Okay, you can let go, Ryder told them. Chase and Zuma sighed as they let go of the rope. Thanks for the help, Chase said. Always, dude, Zuma said. Whenever you're in trouble. I know, Chase said. Yelp for help. But I was busy. My yelp would have come out as a whimper. Zuma laughed at the joke, which made Chase feel good. Chase, Zuma, Ryder, and Rubble walked out of the building. As they walked out of the building, the pedestrians cheered and applauded. They got back on their floats. After the balloons got secured, the parade continued forward as if nothing. The celebration continued for another 3 hours. 2. Once the parade was over, Ryder told the princess that they had to get going. Already, the princess asked. 2. We have to be ready in case there is an emergency in Adventure Bay, Ryder said. The princess nodded. That makes sense. Well, you are all welcome here whenever. Just call before so that I can greet you upon your arrival. They all said goodbye to each other. The Paw Patrol got into the Paw Patroller, and they left for Adventure Bay. As they exited city limits, the sun started to set. After the first minutes, most of them began to doze off, leaving only Rubble and Chase awake. Ryder was asleep in his chair while Robodog drove. Rocky and Zuma slept on either side of Rubble, and Sky and Marshall slept on either side of Chase. Wow, Rubble said. Time flies when you're having fun. He yawned and laid his head down. I'm tired. 1. Chase laughed. Get some sleep. What about you? I'll sleep later, Chase explained. Right now, I'm not that tired. I'll make sure nothing happens. Okay, Rubble agreed. I never got to thank you for saving me. 2. I was just doing my job, Chase admitted. It was no big deal. It was for me, Rubble said. And Chase? Yeah? I trust you. I don't know why it took so long for me to realize it, but I do. With that, Rubble began snoring. The Paw Patroller was quiet as Chase was looking out the window. Chase had gained the trust of his teammates again. His family trusted him, and he couldn't help but smile. But seeing his family made him think, what happened with my other family? Maybe Angel and Junior could visit him someday. He would love it if they could meet the Paw Patrol. Maybe Junior and Ash could become friends. 2. Sky shivered. Chase looked down and noticed her fur moving. He turned around and discovered the window slightly open. He closed the window, and Sky stopped shivering. In her sleep, she moved closer to Chase. Her fur was kind of cold, but Chase didn't mind. 4. After a half hour, Chase's eyes got heavy. He laid his head down and closed his eyes. As he drifted off to sleep, he thought about how lucky he was to have Sky there with him. He wouldn't have it any other way. Chapter 20. A week passed since the Paw Patrol had visited Barkingburg. During the week, Chase went on 4 missions, in which he proved that he was trustworthy again. He got to spend some time with his nephew, Ash, and Marshall. They played tag, hide and seek, frisbee, and a bunch of other things. It had rained the night before, so the ground was wet and muddy, but they didn't mind. Ash got fond of Chase. He even started calling him Uncle Chase. Ash is just loving it, Everest told Sky. You wouldn't believe how much Ash likes Chase. Sky and Everest were watching as Marshall and Chase were running away from Ash in a dragon costume. His Uncle Chase, Sky joked. Yeah, his Uncle Chase. Everest looked at Sky and noticed that she was frowning. What's wrong? What? Sky asked. Sorry, I was lost in thought. Sky, what's wrong? I don't know, Sky confessed. Something about Chase. What do you mean? Well, ever since we came back from Barkingburg, I have been staying up longer than usual. Thinking about Chase? Everest guessed. That's beside the point, but yes. I couldn't fall asleep, so I would walk around the lookout until I got tired. We've all been there, Everest added. Well, for me, it's usually around Jake's living room or cabin. Exactly, nothing was off about that, Sky continued. But what? Every night, I will find Chase outside of his doghouse. In his favorite place? Yeah, on the cliff. What was he doing? Nothing, Sky replied. He would sit there, looking out on the bay. Sometimes his eyes were closed, sometimes they were open. But his sight was always distant. Did you ever walk up to him and talk to him? I have wanted to, but I never got enough courage. What do you think he was thinking about? I don't know, but it must be on his mind a lot. I wonder how he could hold that in and not let it show. Everest looked at Chase. Well, I mean, you could see it. Sky was confused by what Everest said, but realized what she was referring to when she looked at Chase. Chase, Marshall, and Ash were still playing tag, and they happened to pass in front of Chase's grave. Chase slowed down a bit and stared at it. He slowed down long enough for Ash to tag him. After Chase put on a smile, said something to Ash, and they both ran off. Something's definitely wrong, Everest said. And you should talk to him about it. Why me? Sky asked. Something tells me he would talk to you if you asked. Sky thought about it. Before she could say something else, their dog tags rang and glowed. Chase and Marshall stopped as well. Paw Patrol, to the lookout, Ryder said through the comms. Ryder needs us, they all said in unison as they ran to the elevator. Marshall didn't trip, so they all got into the elevator fine. The elevator went up to the second floor, where the dogs got into their uniforms. Once they were ready, the elevator continued up to the top floor. The doors opened, and they all jumped out in their positions with Ash in front of Marshall and Everest. 3. Paw Patrol, ready for action, Ryder, sir, Chase announced. Thank you all for coming so quickly, Ryder said. We got an emergency. The TRRT building had engulfed in flames. Chase was confused by what building that was, but the others looked uncomfortable. For this mission, I will need Marshall. You and Zuma will use the hoses in your fire truck to put out the fires from the front and back. I'm fired up, Marshall exclaimed. Let's dive in, said Zuma. Sky, you will be our eyes in the sky, no pun intended. If you see anything or anyone inside, you say something. You will also help take out the water from the roof. 2. Let's take to the sky, Sky said. Sky didn't do a backflip, which Chase found strange. 1. Rocky, you and Rubble, you two will play support to make sure the building doesn't fall like last time. Green means go, Rocky exclaimed. Rubble on the double, said Rubble. And, Ryder continued. He took a deep breath. Chase. What's wrong? And why is everyone so nervous? And what is the TRRT building? Well, that's the building that burned down 5 years ago when you died. 2. That's in the past, Chase said. No one seemed too thrilled about the mission. Don't you all trust me? Of course, we do, Sky said. You proved that to us, but… Then let me go on this mission. I can't stay here and not do anything. I need to help. Ryder thought about it. Okay, but we'll be careful. We're keeping our eye on you. That's all I ask. All right, Paw Patrol is on a roll, Ryder said. A few minutes later, they all arrived at the burning building. Marshall, Zuma, get your hose up there, Ryder said. On it, they responded. Rocky, Rubble, support the building, Ryder ordered. Got it, they said in unison. Ryder heard a cry for help from inside. There are still people inside, he said. He looked at Chase. Chase nodded. I'm ready for action, Ryder, sir, he announced. You promise you won't leave again? I promise. Good, now let's go. After 10 minutes, they were able to get everyone out of the building. They went back in to search the second floor, but the stairs were of no use. They asked some civilians if anyone was upstairs, and they said that they didn't think so. Everyone who was inside the building that they knew of was accounted for. I guess that's all of them? Chase asked. Something didn't feel right. He had a feeling they were missing something or someone. Wait, Sky said. I see movement on the second floor. How? Ryder asked. They said there weren't any people left. They're not people, Sky explained. It seems to be 2 dogs. The bigger one is entirely white, but the pup has white and brown fur. Could it be? What breeds are they? He asked. It wouldn't matter what breed they were. They would still save them, but he wanted to know for sure. Plus. Sky looked closer, and her eyes opened wide. She knew she recognized them. They're German shepherds.